All right, everybody, welcome to the video on bonuses. All right, so let's first off start with the intentions behind the video, which is a lot of you ask questions about bonuses and when they should be applied, when they should be used, and all that kind of good stuff. All right, so I want to say first and foremost, bonuses are going to be different from commissions. All right, here's why. Commissions are a fixed system built in such a way to motivate your go-getters to build their own paycheck using a commission bonus or a commission system. Okay, and so I want to make that clear that it's different from bonuses, and we'll talk a little bit about why that is when we go through each of these. But just know that a commission system should be mathematically built out in regards to what you want the position to perform in conjunction with what the position can actually generate in terms of revenue. Okay, so commissions are going to be a much more mathematical, it's a lot more of a formula, versus bonuses can be mathematically based and formula based, but they can also be kind of like your leveraging point in a negotiation. Okay, and that's kind of how I like to use them. So it's like when I want to use a bonus, it's more so to get my way, right, in a situation, or I like to use it in situations where I can't pay bump them anymore. We'll talk about that here first, actually, in order to avoid blowing my payroll out of proportion. Okay, so let's talk about the first situation. So you guys will notice I have rocks, also we're going to call those stone, right, and percentiles. Okay, so those are the two. So this is percentage base, and this is set in stone, meaning it's just a firm number, and the number is what the number is. Okay. Now, what a bonus does is it allows us to kind of edge the gap, get the upper hand in a negotiation, and essentially allow us to use a money bonus instead of a fixed amount to say, hey, boom, done. Here's the deal. Here's the bonus. Done. All right. Now, in a hit pay ceiling. Okay, so in the system, when I'm overviewing pay for you guys, right? I go through the compensation structure. If someone caps out, let's say your anchor coach, this is going to be your most likely example. Let's say your anchor coach is with you for more than a 2.5 year mark, right? And so they're coming up on their 3-year mark, and they're due for a pay bump, right? They've already done, this is their second quarter. They're going to hit fives again. You know that because they're phenomenal. What do you do to reward that coach's behavior? It's a bonus, right? And so what you do is you come up to this, they're on their pay ceiling, meaning, let's say $26 an hour is the pay ceiling for your anchor coach. And like, man, I really don't want to lose them. And I know that it would really demotivate them to come into it and be like, hey, you've done a good job, just keep going, right? So how do we reward this behavior? Well, instead of doing a pay bump, what we're going to do is we're going to do a bonus. So it's like, hey, for hitting your marks, we're going to throw you a $500 bonus. And the reality is that if you have this coach who's hit the top of your pay chart and they've been with you for more than 2.5 years, they're coming up on the 3-year mark, even if this does push your compensation a little bit over, it's going to be worth throwing them that $500 bonus for hitting 4s or 5s, right? I'd maybe do like 500 for 4s and 1,000 for 5s or something to that effect. Their average score being a 5. And this is to incentivize them that not only do we have their capped out pay system, but we want to continue to motivate them to go above and beyond, above and beyond, above and beyond. Because if this coach is doing it right, they are generating you plenty more where that's coming from, right? Like they're generating a ton of money for the business because they're a staple coach. If they're hitting 5s, that means they're asking for referrals, they're engaging with your parents. This person is a staple in the business and you can't afford to lose them. All right, so that's why we put the pay ceiling as one of the 5 situations, right? This is situation number 1, where if that person is at their pay ceiling, they've done a good review, okay, we're going to give them a bonus to motivate them to continue to go. That might not be the only thing that motivates them, but dude, money talks, right? And so it's like when people see that you're willing to put your money where your mouth is and be like, hey, you're a great coach and here's a bonus to prove it. Plus, at the end of the year, you think like, oh, Charlie, that's a $500 bonus. Yeah, but if you're doing it every time they're due for a pay bump, you're talking about maybe $1,000 if you do 500 each time, right? That's $1,000. That's why I say even 1,000 because it's like we're talking about 2,000 in the overall scheme. And if you have 2 or 3 coaches, you might be doing 2 or 3 coaches at that threshold. you should be easily able to offset that with the performance of those coaches and the performance of the program to do maybe 3,000, 4,000 extra, and you count it towards technically it counts towards their payroll, right? So they are going to be taxed on the bonus, but nonetheless, the perception that you're just giving them that additional money on top of them hitting the pay ceiling for the position, all good stuff. All right, so pay ceiling, this is your most likely scenario where bonuses are going to be most likely used. Unless you're in some of these bottom categories. And we're going to go to those now. Okay, so that's the pay ceiling. Signing bonus. Okay, Charlie, how do I get top talent to join my team? Signing bonuses. If I know that if I pass all your hurdles, I get $2,000 to sign on or $1,000 to sign on with your team, I'm going to be a lot more motivated to go through the interview process. Okay, and so a signing bonus is also a great way if you have a candidate who is in a different state or a different city or a different program and you want them to move over. A signing bonus really helps kind of send it home because it's like, there's going to be costs of moving there. There's going to be costs of changing my lifestyle, changing over to this program. So signing bonus is meant in a way to offset that. Okay. And again, set in stone in the sense that it's going to be a fixed amount. All right. So you say, hey, it's going to be, 3,000. Or 4,000, whatever the number is, you're setting that number. Okay, percentiles are going to be built off of revenue returns. Okay, so that's just want to make that clear that that's what those are going to be, is revenue returns. But these are going to be numbers that you set, and those are set in stone, meaning you set them, and that's where they're at. So when you set up your signing bonus, set it in such a way where it's obviously not ridiculous. You don't want to hurt yourself with the bonus, but it is it's gonna hurt a little bit, because you may really want this talented coach to move and be a part of your team. And there's a lot of upside to having someone move to be a part of your team. A lot of upside. Spending a lot of time thinking about that lately. And I'll just say that we're hopefully working on something for that. But there's a lot of incentive for that. Okay, to bring someone to your team. And so if you pay $2,000 to have a coach move and they're fully dedicated to your program and they're an anchor coach, then you're going to be generating a lot of revenue with that coach. Okay, so it's worth the signing bonus to give them that little extra nudge to want to move and actually take the job with you. Okay, promotional bonus. All right. So this is like, I'm thinking of a particular circumstance where maybe you've got a flex coach who's crushing it, but they've got another job that they're doing, and you're like, man, what is a way I can incentivize them to make the leap? Again, money talks. So promotional bonuses. So it's like adding a promotional bonus for someone to take a role. Maybe you want the flex coach to actually become the head coach because you know they'd be a phenomenal head coach, but they have other commitments that they're trying to stick to. Maybe they're coaching 2 facilities, 3 facilities, and they are just kind of spread thin, right? And so they don't want to overcommit themselves to any of these locations. But that can change if the offer is good, if the offer is right. So promotional bonus would be somebody on your team that you want to move to a higher threshold, but that would require them to sacrifice some of their other income opportunities. A great way to kind of to make the grass look really green for that position is to provide a promotional bonus of, hey, if you take this role as head coach, or if you take this role as program director or anchor coach even, you're going to make an additional $3,000 signing bonus, promotional bonus, for taking the promotion, right? A signing bonus is more so someone not on the team coming onto the team. Promotional bonus is someone on the team taking a higher level of responsibility, and you're using that to kind of incentivize them to step into that role because you think they're going to do a great job with it, but maybe again they're distracted, and maybe financially the opportunity of swapping roles, again, that it all ties everyone. It's like, hey, I know that this would cost some strife initially, but we'll pay you an additional $3,000 to help offset that strife for a month, to be a promotional bonus. So it's a great way to move someone into a higher position or be into a more bought-in position for the business. Okay, seasonal bonus. Seasonal bonuses are going to be really good for summer camps, spring camps, any type of camp or birthday party situation. If a coach is working a particular number of these camps, particular number of these birthday parties, again, if they're capped out hourly and they're just kind of like not wanting to work it, but you really want them to work it, you can bust out a seasonal bonus of like, hey, we're going to cut all the coaches who work summer camp 2% of the revenue that we make from summer camp. That is a great way to get your team bought into the overall performance of a seasonal thing. And for camps, especially summer camps, there are facilities doing $100,000, $150,000, $250,000 in 2 months. additional revenue. And so throwing your staff, 1% or 2% bonus on that is really incentivizing for them to kind of go the extra mile, coach a lot more hours. But at the end of the road, it's like, hey, here's the return. And that's a big one. I say try to feed it to them as they're going along, because it's going to mean a lot more every week if they're seeing more money come in, because they're feeling the pain of coaching a lot more every single week. So the closer you can tie the reward with the work, it's going to make it better for them, more bought in. So seasonal bonus is going to be built around the percentile of return, and you can honestly do this with anything if you want. This doesn't necessarily apply to seasonal stuff, but I just think it's a great way to say, hey, instead of pay bumping them, right? If they're like, well, if I'm going to work more hours, I want higher pay, and it's like, okay, we'll do 29 an hour instead of 26 an hour, and then they stay at that 29 an hour after the revenue goes away, and now your compensation is totally skewed. So it's like, how can I incentivize my staff to be excited about this period, because we as a facility are going to make a lot more revenue in this time frame? Seasonal bonuses. Okay, so that's how you can build up your summer camps and get your people really on board with the idea of summer camp, because they know, yeah, I'm going to work more, but I'm also going to make a lot more from that time frame as well. And then performance bonuses. Okay, performance bonuses can be, for example, I never got to institute this, but I always wanted to, was attrition rate for the coach. So like, I want the coaches to be thinking about how many students they're losing off of their class rosters. If you do multiple coaches in an hour, this may not apply, but I like to do my students to one coach, because I like to track each coach's performance. So let's say this coach, one coach has a 3% attrition rate, meaning only 3% of their roster leaves month over month, and then my other coach has a 6% attrition rate. Well, let's say I don't like 6% for this example. I want my coaches to be at 3%, because this is literally half the students, right? And that makes a big difference over a year, because over a year, this person's going to lose probably 30 more students. And that's just if we did 100 students each coach, right? So that's 3 more students each month. 10, 3, yeah, so it's actually 36. And if you take that 36 and you multiply it by the monthly revenue, that's a lot of money that you lose from this coach that you don't lose from this coach. So a performance bonus can be built around the idea of, okay, hey, if you're able to stay below 5%, 4%, something to that effect, basically you would take the difference and give it to them, right? So it's like, if this coach would lose 36 students times 97 a month, right? Like, let's say that that's your, that's the amount of revenue that would be lost in the span of a year, plus you have the exponential factor of some of these people would have been with you for 5 months, 6 months, 7 months more. Let's say that, just to keep things simple here, let's say that comes out to 1,000. Well, let's then say, okay, well, hey, I'm going to save the 1,000 with my 3% coach, and so therefore my the 1,000 that I would say with my 3% coach, I'm going to give them the 500 as a bonus, while we keep the other 500 as a facility. So you make an additional $500 as a facility, and your coach gets an additional $500 for just doing their job better. Okay, and this is the same, no difference here except for performance of the coach. Performance of the coach, 3% attrition rate, 6% attrition rate. So that's just an example. You don't have to follow those numbers exactly, but that just to paint the picture of how you can take a particular performance factor and set up a bonus around the percentile of it, or to make it just simple, just like I said, 3% is a $500 bonus, and 4% is a $300 bonus, something to that effect. Really motivate your coaches to pay attention, and then be like, hey, anything above us 6%. And again, these are hard numbers, right? That would be a hard number for a coach to hit, but coaches do it all the time. So it's not unreasonable. It's just difficult. So, okay, cool. So those are your 5 situations. You got performance bonus, seasonal bonus, promotional bonus, signing bonus, hit pay ceiling, and I've given you some ideas on fixing it, making it a number that you set. And again, it doesn't necessarily need to be in line with the math of the business. Like a commission system definitely needs to, because that will sink your business fast. I'm speaking from experience of having commission systems that were way too strong for the candidate and weak for the business, meaning the candidate was winning a lot more money than was healthy for the business. And then, but the bonus is something like, it may break the bank for you in a sense, right? Like, oh, this is going to push my compensation for this month to 35, 40, 45%. But if it means that you're going to be able to grow the long-term revenue of the business, a signing bonus, a promotional bonus, right, then they are worth it, because the value that you are extracting from that negotiation isn't necessarily going to be represented in the math right away, but it will be eventually when you're able to fully onboard that candidate and then load up the roster so that you're now got 90 more students, 100 more students, 150, 250 more students, or maybe even just your time back. So these bonuses are always built with the intention of, hey, let's get this person on board for the future potential. We're going to borrow from the future to pay for the present. These are built on, the seasonal bonuses are built on seasonal bumps in revenue, not necessarily fixed bumps in revenue. So therefore, you don't want to do a fixed bump to their income. You just want to do a seasonal bump, seasonal bonus. And then hit pay ceiling. That's just investing into your best staff to keep them there long term and know that there's still financial incentives for them to do a really good job. Okay, so that was longer than I thought it would be. I thought this would be a short video, so it ended up being a 15-minute video. But I hope you guys love this. This is the bonus system. This is the way I think about bonuses. And this is the way I think you should think about bonuses, because I think it will help you leverage these tools to help break through situations using financial incentives for your staff. And by the way, it doesn't necessarily have to be finances. I'll say this really quickly. It could be paid days off is a good one, well, which is technically a financial one. Maybe a day off. Maybe some other type of bonus. Could be merchandise, could be gear, I don't know. You can get really creative with it. It's just the most common form of bonuses is done in the form of financial ones. Okay, and so these are just 5 different situations in which these bonuses can be leveraged in a way that helps the business by getting your staff bought in and excited. All right, cool. So that is bonuses. You guys now know how to play the game and use the bonuses to do that. All right, cool. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.